Hi, this is Stephanie Barnes. This recording is of a keynote that I gave in September of 2024 at the ECKM conference. Unfortunately, the conference didn't record the keynote, and so I'm making this recording to share with others. So my keynote was entitled Helping the Humans in an AI World, Creating a Knowledge Sharing Culture. For innovation, productivity, and sustainability, AI needs new knowledge to feed its enormous appetite. We humans, are the source of that knowledge and information. When AI ingests its own output, it deteriorates greatly and is no longer reliable. It already has a reliability issue. Anyway, here is the keynote. For the next 45 minutes or so, you should feel free to ask questions. This material is new and a different way of looking at knowledge. So keep an open mind. Feel free to ask questions. Also suspend your judgment. Again, keep an open mind. Some assumptions I made in creating this keynote is that a strategy is needed to give direction to a knowledge management program within an organization. The strategy must be based on organizational drivers, and that the development of a knowledge management strategy is for now and for the future. I invite you to get comfortable, take a slow, deep breath, and close your eyes. Picture in your mind's eye a small and delicate flower floating gently inside your skull, just behind the bone of your forehead. Notice the flower's color, its shape, the pattern of its petals. Let the flower drift slowly downward, gliding gently down your throat into your rib cage, drifting down and down between your lungs, downward, gently downward, coming to rest in the lowest place in your abdomen, the place where your breath reaches when you breathe fully and deeply. A quiet touch of color deep in the darkness of your abdomen. Hold the flower there. Hold it. Hold it. Now let it go. Let the flower vanish, but stay focused on the place where it was, deep down in the dark center of you. Focus on the darkness. Now, when you're ready, and only when you're ready, open your eyes and come back into our virtual room. Thank you. I like to start my sessions, meetings, workshops, activities off with a guided visualization. I use this one or some others that I have created. It helps to calm us and ground us and help us get focused on what's about to come. And that is certainly true in this case. So thank you for joining me. I'd like to introduce you to Samantha, our young knowledge management practitioner. Samantha, who's been thrust into the spotlight having to put together a KM strategy. She's been a KM manager for 10 years, and she has a problem. Her KM strategy isn't working anymore, and she's wondering what to do. For the last 10 years, she's used this book, Designing a Successful KM Strategy. She found it useful and helped her guide the knowledge management program at her organization. And she feels it's still good and still relevant, but she feels increasingly that it's missing something. The world of work has changed, and she's struggling with how to move forward in her organization. And she was trying to figure out what to do now. In her organization, she's noticed that people are stressed and worried. Connections have been broken because of all the turnover and the remote work and hybrid work. There's no sense of belonging anymore. There's no sense of purpose or meaning. Nobody really knows what they're doing or why they're doing it. There's all this misinformation that AI is contributing to and social media is contributing to, and nobody knows what to believe and what to do. She's also unfortunately noticed that there's no empathy and compassion. People are burnt out and impatient and just don't want to take the time to think about the other person or think critically about a situation. They want it done yesterday, and there's just no empathy or compassion if things don't go according to plan. So Samantha is looking for a new idea, a new way to address this current situation. Work is different. Her knowledge management strategy needs to be different. So Samantha likes a good list. So she made a list of all the challenges she's facing in her organization. None of them have to do with technology. The technology is doing what it was tasked to do. It's storing documentation, storing documents. It's helping people collaborate. The challenges she's facing are around encouraging people to share knowledge, share what they know. They need to be more innovative and creative. Their problem solving needs to be better. Their engagement needs to improve. They need to be more curious and continuous learners. There's all of these sort of people-centered, human-centered problems that she's facing and trying to address through her knowledge management strategy. I can imagine that your organization is experiencing a similar situation. When she sat back and looked at these items, she realized really she's trying to help the humans, trying to help them reach their potential as knowledge workers within the organization. And so she likes a good list, like I said, and so she thought, well, what are humans good at? How can she help the humans be better humans? And humans are great at creativity and generating new ideas, thinking abstractly to produce, creative solutions, understanding context, having empathy, emotional intelligence. These are the things that humans are good at. And so she wants to help them be better humans and better at sharing and creating new knowledge. And so she, like I say, takes this list and starts to think about things and research how she wants to change the world of work in her organization. In her research, she discovers that Stephanie Barnes, one of the authors of the book that she's been using for the last 10 years, has a new idea called radical knowledge management. And she realizes in reading the papers and articles that Stephanie has published that this might be the missing piece of the puzzle. Radical KM is about sustainability. It's about creativity and innovation, collaboration, connection, continuous learning, playfulness, critical thinking, everything that's been missing in her organization. It really builds the skills of what it means to be human. She likes the vision for knowledge management that's presented in the Radical KM approach. It's sustainable and holistic, just what she thought or thinks knowledge management should be. Radical KM is about achieving this vision, this sustainable and holistic vision. It's about making space to reflect, iterate, experiment, discover new connections by using creativity, specifically arts-based interventions in KM processes and activities. There's lots of examples of arts-based interventions, everything from painting and drawing to photography to sculpture, making posters, meditation, music, storytelling, model buildings, all kinds of things, poetry, lots of things. It's not strictly just painting. And she finds that creative leadership provides 6 times higher revenue growth, which people should be excited about. Adopting this approach improves the organization's problem solving and people's engagement and their bottom line. So now, just to prove that this is quick and easy and not at all painful, we're going to do a short activity. We're going to write a haiku and take 3 to 5 minutes to create a or some haiku. I'll set the timer for 4 minutes, and you can pause the video if you would like to do this. But haiku are 3 lines, 5 syllables, 7 syllables, and then 5 syllables again, and you can write it about anything. An example there on the bottom of the slide is by Paul Holmes. It's entitled October's Gold, like crunchy cornflakes, gold leaves rustle underfoot, beauty in decay. I invite you to pause the video and write a haiku. It's easy, it's fun. We did it in the keynote, and so yes, I invite you to pause and do that. I will keep moving. So I will tell you that in the keynote, people shared their haiku that they had written at this point. Many were about the conference and were wonderful, thoughts on the experience of the conference itself and the keynote, and so it was a nice reflection point. And I asked you if you created your own haiku, wrote your own haiku, paused the video. What did you learn? Is there a metaphor here for the KM problem that Samantha is trying to solve? What do you think? Okay, so you've experienced one arts-based method, writing a haiku, writing a short poem. Why use arts-based methods? In short, artistic interventions offer people the opportunity to interrupt their routines and interrupt the institutionalized ways of working in their organizations. Artful ways of working complement the collaborative ways of working that stakeholders value, having learned in their experiences with artistic interventions. So by using arts-based methods, that changes behaviors, it changes the culture. Experiential activities provide an opportunity to interrupt their routines and their institutionalized ways of working. Plus, they're collaborative, they're fun, they help encourage trust and knowledge sharing and engagement within the organization. Arts-based interventions solve many, many problems. This is not a one-to-one thing. We've got this idea from medicine and from science that we have to be able to show a one-to-one connection, but that's false. Art impacts our brains and has and the plasticity of our brains, And so it actually has a one-to-many impact. So interventions solve things like uncertainty and how people are stressed out and worried, overwhelmed. It can give them a sense of meaning again, because it builds teams and connections. It builds a sense of belonging, those relationships. It helps build a sense of purpose and meaning, creates and develops agency, so helps people get in touch with themselves and recognize, what they need, what questions they may have. It helps them build critical thinking. And the use of AI, we really need to be better at critical thinking and discerning what is real and what is fake. It supports a trial and error and iteration approach. So it helps people be better, make better, create better solutions, and improve their critical thinking. Many organizations really focus on capital and money, and yet Andrew Carnegie is quoted as saying, "The only replaceable capital in an organization possesses is the knowledge and ability of its people. The productivity of that capital depends on how effectively people share their competence with those who can use it." And creating a knowledge-sharing culture is critical to organizational success. It's in our best interest to create cultures where people trust and respect each other, where they're willing to share their knowledge. And just for further clarification, this comes from the ISO KM standard 30401. And I'm not going to read the whole slide to you, but it's the things that go into making a knowledge-sharing culture. And this is critical to the success of a knowledge management program. We need to take each of these bullets and think about what we can do to improve those activities, those things within our organizations. From a knowledge management perspective, we look at the knowledge life cycle and creativity. And it's iterative, right? It's not a straight line, even though I've depicted it that way here. It cycles around. There's opportunities for creativity at the beginning, in the middle, and as it loops back around. So anytime that there's people involved is an opportunity to bring in an arts-based intervention and help people to connect, to trust, to look at things differently, to solve problems, think critically. Now, after doing all this research and looking into this and doing some small experiments herself, Sam thinks that she's found the silver bullet. She thinks it's the answer to her prayers. It's the one thing that was missing that will make a difference. New technology is not going to make a difference to the problems that she's facing in her organization. Creating a knowledge-sharing culture is. Addressing the deficits that technology has created is going to improve the decision-making, improve the collaboration, improve the knowledge-sharing, just improve and make people more productive and engaged and have better outcomes. Now, admittedly, Samantha is feeling a little bit of fear about this. This is, something different, something new for her, for the organization. It's uncomfortable. Certainly, she's not an artist. She doesn't see herself that way. She's got her accounting undergrad that she has found very valuable and likes that. and so she's not at all creative. She hasn't done anything creative since she did some paint by numbers as a child. So she's a little nervous about bringing this into her organization. And so she goes out, because like I say, she goes out and buys a book or makes a list. And so she made a list of what to do, in this situation where she's feeling very hesitant about bringing Radical KM into her organization. And she realized it's okay. And it's normal to feel afraid, especially when you're doing something new. So she thinks about finding someone who supports and encourages her and understands why she's doing this. She thinks about maybe bringing this idea to the KM team to get them on side and so they can support each other and move this forward. She's going to take a similar approach as what she took with her at first KM strategy 10 years ago, and set some realistic expectation, break everything down into smaller steps, do some pilots, just try things out and see what works. She's going to focus on the benefits and the positive outcomes and learn from the things that don't go the way that she expected them to. She's going to celebrate when things go well and the progress that gets made, no matter how small, and lead by example and offer resources and other coping strategies. So she feels like she's ready to take this on and to tackle this. Something else that she remembers from the book, the Designing a Successful KM Strategy book, was the idea of pilots and starting small. And she's going to do the same thing with Radical KM. She's going to start small with some pilots and learn as she goes and make some adjustments as things progress. So she's feeling really good about this. She recognizes that changing culture is a marathon. It's not something that happens after one workshop or one webinar. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's going to take certainly months and quite likely years to really make a difference in the culture. And so she realizes that she needs to pace herself and to remind herself that this is a marathon and not a sprint. So Samantha decides to get down to work. She's got all this stuff put together. She's feeling pretty good about herself and how things are going and what she's going to do. She's already started to talk to the KM team. And so she makes this list, another list about, educate the implementation team and key stakeholders is one of the first things she's going to do. She's going to create a new strategy, embed Radical KM into the strategy and update the strategy overall. She's going to create a new change management transformation plan. So she's going to look at communication and training and other supporting materials that she needs. She's going to start planning the implementation, defining the resources that she needs, updating processes, and putting all those bits and pieces together. So she's feeling pretty energized and excited about this opportunity. And as she started to take on her first task, she came across some tidbits of information, and they really confirmed to her that she was on the right path. And she found this thing from Fortune 500, that Fortune 500 companies lose a combined $31.5 billion per year from employees failing to share knowledge effectively. That comes from IDC. So she recognizes that the cost of knowledge sharing and the knowledge sharing culture is not insignificant by any means. She also came across the idea that creativity is really what differentiates us from AI, and this idea that diffuse versus focused thinking and neuroplasticity is critical to us moving forward and using AI in productive and positive ways, and not destructive. So humans need to be in the loop, so that we make progress. With her new approach to KM, Samantha realizes that she's helping the humans to not think like computers. And this was another quote that she found, was the real danger is not that computers will begin to think like humans, but that humans will begin to think like computers. And so she really wants to help the humans to not think like computers, to be critical thinkers, to be curious and innovative, and to put the pieces together in different ways that solve intractable problems. And that is the end of the slides. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to share them in the comments under this video. I'm happy to come back and address them. If you want to reach out to me, that's my contact information. The phone number is no longer correct, but the email address and LinkedIn and Calendly is okay, as is the website. So I do have a new phone number at this point, so having relocated to Canada. If you're interested in further learning, I've published some papers. They're available, and I have a column on Reworked. There's some articles there. You can go and read those. You're welcome to read those. I do have Radical KM class, and those are all past, but I have some classes out there. The Radical KM Institute is actually asynchronous, some asynchronous stuff that I have out there. You can learn on your own. And a partial book list. The full book list is actually about 50 books now. I'm happy to share that if anyone's interested in that. And that's the end. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you. Bye.